Hey everybody, this is Tony with Class Eagles. I hope you're having a great day. As the season starts to come to a close here in the next week or so, one thing we all will start doing is looking back on the season and deciding if it was successful or not. Traditionally, I think most coaches, players, and parents will look at the record of the team, how many wins versus losses, championships versus championships lost. We tend to look at those things and decide if the team had a good year or not. And I understand that, and it's a kind of very simple way to look and decide whether or not a team had success. And a lot of times, traditionally, that's how success is measured based on wins and losses on the field. Nothing wrong with that, but I would suggest also looking at other things that help decide whether or not a season was successful, especially for the players. What's happened this season in terms of wins and losses and championships are great. If you've had success, but at the same time, you can't take them with you. Once the season is over, that's it. Those are in the past. And I think it's more important to look at, what you're taking with you to the next season. So for me, one thing I look at with teams and players is what do they know now that they didn't know at the start of the season? From their ability with the ball, their skills, knowledge of the game. That's for me one of the most important things when looking at if the season was successful is how the players progress, because the skills they learned are what they're going to be able to take to the next season. The results of the games, they won't be able to. So what they learn or didn't learn will affect them as they step onto the field come springtime. The next thing I look at is, how did the players handle adversity? Did they learn how to struggle well? I really like that term. I think it's a great term for coaches and parents to use and something to look at with their kids on the soccer field and anything else they do. But do they struggle well? Meaning when things get hard and it's not easy for them, how do they respond? Do they respond with more effort, more focus, or do they respond, by, getting angry, pointing fingers, not wanting to put forth any effort? I think one of our biggest responsibilities as coaches and parents when it comes to sports is helping players learn how to struggle well, because it's a great life skill that's going to help them when things get tough, not just on the field, but off the field. So throughout the season, how did our team handle adversity? Did we, as individual players and as a group, face challenges and handle them the correct way where we were, better on the other end of it? The other thing I look at is, did the players learn how to help others around them? I think one of the biggest skills, again, one of the most important things is, learning how to become a great teammate, learning how to notice when people around you need help and understanding how to help them in a positive way. Do the players know how to do that? Do they know how to look at their teammates and assist them with anything they need, whether it's on the field or off the field? I think that's a great skill when it comes to sports, is that ability to learn how to help others. So did your team learn how to do that throughout the year? Did they learn how to be helped? That's also a skill that's critical for people to learn, is that sometimes we won't accept help when we need help. But playing within a team is, do the players understand how to accept help from others, whether that's actual being helped with something or, helpful constructive criticism or ideas on how to improve. Do they take that, accept it? Do they learn from it? Do they look for it? That's something that I also would, look at to decide whether my team or the players had a successful year. Did they get better in that area? And then, lastly is, just that, ability to be passionate and care about something. Did your players and your team grow more passionate, more caring about the game, about each other over the course of the year? I think that's a skill that's very important, as well as the learning how to care about something and with, how you feel about what you're doing, putting your whole heart into it, paying attention to the details, not letting things slide that might not seem important to others, but should be important to you if you really care and love something that you're doing. All these things are something that I look back onto a season, and it helps me decide whether as a coach I was successful to help the players learn that. And as I grew older, as a player, looking back and seeing what I learned. Did I handle things correctly? Did I grow in these areas? And then as a parent, looking at it, too, did your child progress in these areas? Are these things that they're better at than they were at the start of the season? There's a lot of different things like this, and again, everyone should kind of decide even before the season starts what success looks like. So when you get to the end of it, you're not trying to define that based on what happened. You already kind of had a set, goals in mind of what a successful year would look like or a successful season. But it's very important to look back and, look at all these areas and look at the big picture and not just wins and losses. I think we miss a lot when we just look at results. We do want to step on the field and try to compete, and that's the goal, to try to win games, and that's what sports is about, and to be competitive and put forth effort and try to win. But it's not all about the result. It's a lot about what that process provides in terms of learning and growth to the individual and the group. So as you look back on this season, think about some of these different areas. Look at yourself as a coach, look at your child as a parent, and as a player, look back and reflect, and decide where you're successful and where you could do better next year or next season.